So hello everyone and welcome to my session, your final session of the day, building Power Platform solutions using Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. It's probably the longest title I've ever had for any session. My name is Reza Dorrani. I am a Microsoft Business Applications MVP, and I am also a Microsoft certified trainer. I lead the Houston Power Platform user group. And since I'm using the word certified, let me add another one. I think I'm a certified YouTuber as well now. So if you've never checked out my channel, go ahead, check it out. There's a lot of content around the Power Platform and beyond. The learning objectives for today's session is, of course, it's going to be all around Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. What is this? Why was this introduced? What are the different features? What's the security access? And all of these, hopefully in the form of demos. I will try and mix some live demos with some templates, with some pre-built solutions and try and mix and match. Honestly, do I have a plan for the demos? No, because I normally go into my sessions and just go with the flow. So I'm hoping I'll show some cool stuff along the way. And finally, we will wrap it up with some good learning material so that you can get started with your journey in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. Okay, so first, Microsoft Teams. This is the why Microsoft Dataverse for Teams came into existence. This is the why part. So first is Microsoft Teams. We all know what Teams is. It's the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365. Calling, meeting, chats. In fact, our call today is on Microsoft Teams. One of the challenges in Microsoft Teams, specifically from a business user or a low code, no code experience standpoint, is creating apps. And today we can build apps in Teams. And for that, we can go to the App Studio, start building our apps. It does require custom development. There is work involved in building apps, and to the same extent for building bots as well. On the other side is the Microsoft Power Platform, which is the low code platform, which is the business application platform that spans the entire suite of products in M365, D365, Azure, and beyond. And as part of this platform, we have our four main pillars. The app development aspect is Power Apps. The automation aspect is Power Automate. For bot development, we have Power Virtual Agents. And for dashboarding and reporting, we have Power BI. And all of these four pillars are designed keeping citizen developers in mind. Apart from these four main pillars, there are three main other aspects related to the Power Platform. One is data connectors. Data connectors allow us to connect to our data sources or services no matter where they live. Example, SharePoint, OneDrive, Excel, Amazon Redshift, you name it, third party, first party, all those options. Plus, we can create custom connectors. So if there's no connector available, you can create your own custom connector. AI Builder, which allows us to leverage artificial intelligence in a low code manner. At the back end, AI Builder does leverage the Azure Cognitive Services, but it's encapsulated and provided in a much simpler interface fashion so we can interact with it and quickly use it in apps and flows. And like any good platform, the Power Platform also has its own data layer that it exposes, and that is known as Microsoft Dataverse, formerly known as Common Data Service or the CDS. So CDS and Dataverse is one and the same. I will relate to Microsoft Dataverse because this is the new name going forward. Now, what is Dataverse and what do I get with it? We're going to look at it shortly. But before I get there, I know I said no licensing discussion, but it's important to talk about that as well. As long as my data connectors fall in the standard connection realm, that means if my connector is certified as a standard connector, I do not need any premium licensing for it. If my connector is a premium connector, we require premium licensing for every user who is accessing that app that is utilizing the premium connector. Microsoft Dataverse is a premium connector. That means if I was to build an app today that leverages that data layer, which is Microsoft Dataverse, I would need the premium license. To build bots, there is specific licensing associated with that as well at a tenant level. So you need that. Plus, if the bot is interacting with any data connector, that is premium. And the bot can do that via Power Automate, which is flows. In that case, my flows would also become premium. So there are licensing, I won't call them challenges, but there are licensing hurdles that you need to also be aware of as part of this platform. So Microsoft Dataverse is premium, great, but why is it premium? What's in there? Why can't I use SharePoint standard connector? Why can't I use SQL standard connector previously, premium connector now? Why can't I use Excel? Well, Excel is not a great data source. There are reasons for it. So what do I get in this Dataverse? Why is Microsoft certifying this as premium? Well, Microsoft Dataverse, or CDS, I'm going to call it interchangeably right now. What do you get with this? Is this a database? And the answer to that is yes, but it is not just a database. It is actually a data service. And in this are multiple layers that are provided to you. So from a data standpoint, yes, it is a database. Of course, you can store data, but you can do a lot more. The storage here is actually relational in nature. This is truly a relational database system. Excel is not relational. SharePoint is not a relational database. SQL is, but in SQL, you have to create the relationships. You have to create the primary key, the foreign key. You have to do the groundwork. In Microsoft Dataverse, all of that is handled for you literally through a GUI-like experience, wherein you just point and click and create relationships between multiple tables on the fly, and multiple types of relationships. 1:1, many:1, 1:many. You can also store files and images as part of Dataverse. Of course, it comes with very powerful reporting, analytics, searching capabilities. Logic. With Microsoft Dataverse, you have a lot of different features related to logic. For example, business rules, calculated columns, roll-up fields, workflows. Security. The security model of Microsoft Dataverse is probably the most sophisticated of all the databases that is available today. Let me give you a few examples. Table level security. Yes, possible in SharePoint. That's your list level or library level security. Row level security. Possible in SharePoint. Item level security. Not in Excel, but in SharePoint. Column level security. Now that is not possible in SharePoint, neither in Excel. Column level. So you can actually secure your data at a column level. There's more. Hierarchical level. You can even define security based on a hierarchy. That's how powerful the security model of Microsoft Dataverse truly is. And all of this with auditing capabilities, and it is a part of the M365 spectrum. So it is backed by Azure AD, of course, and you get all the bells and whistles of Azure as well. Now, one key thing I want to highlight right here is the API aspect. Microsoft Dataverse is a part of the Power Platform, of course. Of course it is. It is the data layer of the platform. However, the key thing to understand is when you connect to any of the connectors using the data connectors. So if I head back to my previous slide, you've seen data connectors right here. So I'll keep taking an example of SharePoint because that's the most commonly used data connector. So when I connect to SharePoint and when I connect to CDS, what's the difference? Well, I'll tell you the difference. When you connect to any connector, I'm just giving an example of SharePoint right now. What happens at the back end, whether you like it or not, this is how it is configured and designed. When you make a request out to your data source, in this case, SharePoint, what happens is, let's say you made it through Powerapps. Powerapps will actually first trigger that connector. Now, what happens at the back end is a request first goes out to Azure API management. So there's API management in Azure. A request goes there. That's one hop. Then from there, based on the request that comes in and based on the connector that the user is leveraging, it routes it to the respective connector. So that's your second route. Then it calls the different APIs of that connector that's available. In SharePoint is the REST APIs. It calls that, gets that information, hop back, and come back to your app or your flow or your bot. Now, this happens in a fraction of seconds, so you don't even realize it. It's not a performance bottleneck as such, but there is a hop. There is a double hop from a performance standpoint. On the other side, CDS or Dataverse is the native data layer of the Power Platform. And the APIs are designed such that when you call these connectors, they directly access the APIs. There is no Azure API management layer in between whatsoever. That's also an important aspect to understand from a performance standpoint. Having said all of this, what is another benefit of Dataverse? Well, it comes with a lot of rich data types, and I will show you those data types when we go through the demo. And I can vouch for this that no other data source can give you those that level of rich data types. Another thing about Dataverse is at the back end, it's actually backed by Azure. It extends with Azure. That means as my data grows, automatically at the back end, additional servers are set up for me without me even realizing. Excel, my data grows, my performance starts nose diving down. Plus delegation issues with Excel. SharePoint, you would have heard of the 5,000 limit. You would have heard of the delegation issues. You would have heard of a lot of limitations with SharePoint. Relational issues, number of lookup columns issues, so many issues. SQL, what happens if my data grows? Well, I got to go back to my SQL server and beef it up, right? Provided more memory so that it can handle that growth of data. Here, everything is handled for me automagically. I like to use that word, automagically. It's all handled for you automagically. And it not just uses Azure SQL, it uses the full spectrum of Azure. If you look at the screenshot, this is the backend architecture of Microsoft Dataverse. It uses web jobs, web servers, SQL Elastic Pools, Azure Blob Storage for storing of files, Cosmos DB, Azure Functions, Events Hub, Service Bus. And guess what? In future, when more services and features will come to Azure, I won't be surprised if they will add those capabilities to the backend infrastructure for Microsoft Dataverse as well. So this is a full data service, and I have literally just scratched the surface. There are a million other things in Dataverse that you can get as part of this data platform. Enough of selling Dataverse. And of course, that's one of the reasons why it's premium as well. Now comes in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, and this is our core discussion of our topic today. Microsoft Dataverse for Teams is the built-in low-code data platform, which is that same Microsoft Dataverse, but for Microsoft Teams. So you get that database, that environment in which that database lives for your Microsoft team. And of course, you don't only get that, you get the ability to build apps, flows, and bots using Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. That means I do get the relational data storage and the rich data types that come along with it. Great, so I can use Dataverse, but what's the great thing about this? I can even use Dataverse today. Why should I use it in the context of Teams? I can still build an app today that talks to Dataverse and I can deploy it to Teams. Yes, but that requires premium licensing because you're talking to Dataverse. Here, it is included for you at no. Oops, sorry. Here it is included for you at no additional licensing cost. That means you get Microsoft Dataverse for Teams for free, as long as you have a basic license that covers you for Microsoft Teams, which is typically your standard Office licenses. So you can use Dataverse in the context as a standard connector, and not just that, you can build apps and flows and bots that talk to it, and even the bots are free. As long as you are using the standard connectors and you're using Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. There has to be a catch, right? It can't be so good. Yes, there is a catch. Well, there are a couple actually. The first one is it supports up to 1 million records or 2 GB storage capacity. That means for my Microsoft team, when I get that database created, that database has a limit of 2 gigs, cannot be exceeded. Well, Reza, what happens if I exceed that? I need more storage. Can I buy it? No. What can I do? You can upgrade. You can upgrade to the full option. But Reza, if I upgrade to the full option, what happens then? Well, because it's Microsoft Dataverse, it's the full option, you have to pay the full license cost. In that case, you would need premium licensing for every user that is accessing the app, assuming that app is talking to Microsoft Dataverse. Okay, so I get 2 GB for Microsoft Teams. Great, I'll create 1 million teams and start. I don't know what's the limit for teams, whatever that limit is. I'll create as many teams as I want and I'll get 2 GB of storage. No, there's a limit there as well. And that limit is 500. In your tenant, you can only have a maximum of 500 teams, 500 teams that can have a Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environment. And what is this environment? This environment is the space in which your database gets created. Okay, so we've seen the Dataverse for Teams, what it is. Yes, I get that database, great. There are limits, 2 GB, the maximum 500 teams. What else? Features. What are the features? What can I do? Yes, you can build apps, flows, and bots. I did a video series on this on my YouTube channel, and I'll tell you the number one question. Can I build, so I can only build one app? No. No, you can build as many apps as you want. You can build 1,000 apps, doesn't matter. The limit is not on how many apps, how many flows, how many bots. That's not the limit. The limit is on the capacity of your database. And when you build these apps and bots, how do you publish them out? All you have to do is just go and hit the publish button. Okay, so once you hit the publish button, it's readily available for your users of your team. We will talk about the security shortly. So Dataverse for Teams, you can build multiple apps. You can deploy them with a single click to your teams. Single click, and I'll show that. Well, technically it's not a single click, but I'm trying to exaggerate it right here. Also, the app that you build gets a special page, the first screen. It's called the hero screen or the hero layout. I will show you what that looks like and how it works. As of today, you cannot export and you cannot import. Okay, so if you build something really cool for one team and you want another team to use it, you cannot do that today. It's coming relatively soon. I know the date, but I can't disclose. Also, think about this. We are building apps for what? We are building apps for teams. Where do we access teams? Mobile device, tablet, laptop, so many different experiences. Would we not want our apps to be responsive? I would. And for that, what you need to do is handle your responsiveness. Please note, Canvas apps are not responsive by design. It's no magic that your app will automatically respond to the screen size. That's not how it works. You have to do a lot of work to get it to work. There are some new things, and I have a slide coming up shortly, which I will talk about. Okay, so I can build apps and flows and bots. Now, these apps and bots that I build, typically when you build an app in Powerapps or a bot, you share it with your users, right? You decide who are you sharing these apps with. How do I define it here? Well, remember, this is Dataverse for Teams. So when you build things in Dataverse for Teams, they are limited for that team. There is no sharing option because it depends upon the access of the team. And what are the three kinds of users you have in a team? You have owners, members, and guests. OMG. Okay, owners, members, guests. Owners have full access to all the tables and they can create apps and flows and bots. This is by design. Members also have full access to all the tables and they can create apps and flows and bots. Guest users have access to only their own records. So they have private access to all the tables. So they can only see their own records. They can add records. They can update and delete only and only their own records. And of course, they are guest users. So they cannot create apps and flows or bots in your tenant. So this is the base security that gets applied. Now, when this security came out, again, a lot of questions, including me, I asked the question, why should members have full access to the tables? Right? What if I create a table in which I want members to only have private access? They should only see their own records. I don't want them to see other people's records. What do I do about that? So for that, what the product team did is they came up with new security options. So owners have full access. That cannot be changed, right? If you're an owner of the team, you have God rights on that team. You can do anything with that team. However, as an owner of the team, you can define what happens or what's the security for the tables for members and guest users. And if you look at the screenshot on the right, you can define 5 levels of security. By default, members have full access. You can change it to collaborate access, wherein they can create records, read all records, but they can only update and delete their own records. You can change it to private access, which is the default for guest users, by the way, wherein they can create records, they can read only their own records, they can update and delete only their own records. There is also reference access, wherein they can only read everything. They cannot add, they cannot modify, they cannot delete. And finally, there is the last access called none, wherein you're completely removing the access for those users. So you can do this for members and you can do this for guest users. Now, when this feature came out, Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, yes, you have owners, members, and guests, great. But what if I have a team and let's say Reza is not a part of the team and I do not want to add Reza to that team? Maybe it's a private team. Maybe there is some chat there that says Reza is not a good guy and I don't want to share it with Reza, right? Maybe that's a use case. How do I go about sharing an app that I build in Microsoft Dataverse for Teams with users who are not either an owner or a member or a guest in a team? They don't even see the team. So how do they use that application that I built? For that, we have a new option called colleagues with access. And in here, you can define a security group. And that security group can have a maximum of 1,000 users. And those are colleagues. Those are basically users who may or may not be a part of your team. And just like you grant access to members and guest users, these 5 layers, you get the same for colleagues with access as well. So you can even share your solutions that you build using Dataverse for Teams for users who are not even a part of your team. You can even do that today. I spoke about responsive design earlier. There are new containers and layouts that have been provided. Now, does it mean that I drop a container and everything becomes responsive magically? No, there is still work that has to be done. There is work. However, please bear in mind that these new containers are firstly in preview. Second, they do help. They do speed up the process of building responsive apps. If you want to learn more about these containers in the Global Power Platform virtual stream, which is going on right now, it's online, it's on YouTube. In an hour and a half, there's my session on responsive design. So if you want to check that out, go and check that out. And it'll be on YouTube, so you can always check it out later as well. All right, Reza, you've told us a lot. What else? Well, one last thing, custom connectors. Remember custom connectors? When you create custom connectors, what's the problem with custom connectors? Well, the problem with custom connectors is that they are premium. Not a problem, but they have a premium license assigned to them. If you build custom connectors using Azure API management and you deploy your custom connectors through Azure APIM, those custom connectors, when used in a Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environment, they will be treated as standard connectors. They will be treated as standard connectors. Extremely, extremely powerful. So you can build connectors that are custom, maybe talking to some third-party APIs, depending upon your use case, and you can use them as standard connectors in your solutions in Dataverse for Teams. So is everything free here? Yes, the only cost is the Azure API management cost, and trust me, it's consumption-based. It's peanuts as compared to the price you would pay for a typical custom connector with premium licensing. All right, enough said on Dataverse for Teams. Reza, show us things. All right, so let's begin with Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. I will first sign in to Teams. So here is Microsoft Teams. I am in Teams in my browser experience. And right here for my team, I will go ahead and let's just create a brand new team. I'm going to call this, create a private team, Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21. I will create this team. And this team is getting created. I see all your questions. Keep posting. We will get to it. So add some members to your team. Let's say I add Sarah as my team member. I see a lot of folks joining and leaving. I will click close. So I just created a team right now called Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21. Just to prove that I was in Austria and Paris before, here you go. Okay, so here's my team. Now, how do I get started with building apps using Dataverse for Teams? Look, nothing stops me from going to Powerapps and from going to make.powerapps.com and building apps and using Dataverse here. I can do all that stuff. I can go to Powerapps and use the full experience. But over here, this database, this Dataverse is premium. Okay, you have to pay a premium license here. This is not. But how do I get to that environment? For that, go to apps, search for Powerapps, and go ahead and install the Powerapps app. In my case, I've already installed it. Once you install it, on the left-hand navigation rail, you can go ahead and pin it. So pin it so that you don't lose it, so that whenever you want to start building apps in Dataverse like me, you have it ready right here. Now, once you click on that, it will load the Microsoft Dataverse for Teams experience. And as part of this, in the Home tab, the best option, the easiest option to get started is I want to create an app. And literally, we will build an app in 5 minutes. I'll show it to you. There is a video which will walk you through what Dataverse is. You can see all your recent apps across all the teams that you have built and you have access to. Now we have 5 new templates that are available. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 new template options that you can choose from. Employee ideas, inspection, issue reporting, bulletins, and milestones. These are 5 great templates that are provided by Microsoft, and there are more coming, and you can even customize these templates. I'll show you one today, which is milestones. And always, for some reason, oops, my network. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah, you're still with us, Reza.
And can you see my screen as well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, because it said we ran into a problem, I got scared. All right, so at the bottom, we have the learn links. Now, trust me, learn.microsoft.com is a really good learning portal for getting started. There are some neat videos here which will help you understand how to create tables, how to publish your app. These are beginner level videos. Go check them out. They are simple, easy to understand. Now, in our case, I'm going to go ahead and say I want to create an app. And the first question is, remember, this is Dataverse for Teams. This is not full Powerapps experience. So I have to select a team. I will be working in the context of a team. So which team? In my case, I will pick the latest team that I just created, which is Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21. Now, when I pick this team, if you notice, I get a message on the top. If I pick a different team, I may or may not get the message. You see, I did not. But when I pick this, I do get it. Why? Well, because the message says this, because I'm the first person to create an app in this team, there is some work that has to be done at the back end. Now, what is this work? When I click create, it is actually creating an environment with the database for me. That's why it says give us a minute. And if you want to check that out, you can go to the Power Platform Admin Center. Reza, who can get here? Anyone can get here. Anyone can get to the admin center. You will only see things that you have access to. If you notice in environments, there is this new environment right here that is being prepared. And the type of this environment is Microsoft Teams. You can only have 500. Right now, I have around 15, maybe. So these are those special types of environments that get created when you create an app for the first time in a Microsoft team. You see my environment's ready. If I head back right here, once my environment is ready, this will now take me directly to the maker experience for Powerapps. And this is what it is doing. And all of this is happening, don't forget, in the context of Microsoft Teams. Look, I'm not in Powerapps, I'm in Teams, and it will now load up the Microsoft Powerapps maker experience directly in the context of Microsoft Teams. All right, it's loading up. It's asking me for the name of my app. Let's say I'm going to create a very simple training app, okay? A training app wherein users can come in and make requests for training, whether they need training for Powerapps or flows or bots. Very simple, simple use case. So I've come here, I've given my app a name. Now, where is this database? How do I use it? Right here. You see the database is empty. I can create tables on the fly. What's the name of your table, Reza? Well, I'm going to call this training, click create, and this now creates a table in that database for this Microsoft team in that environment. In this table, it created a column with a primary key name or the basic column that's name that's created here. Maybe I want the user to give me a description of the training, so type text. Again, all of this is happening in Teams. Right here, I want to create something called as training. So which training do you want? Look at the rich data types. I will go to choice and the user can pick Powerapps, the user can pick flows, and the user can pick bots. Okay. You can even apply some standard formatting here if you want to. I'm just going to click create. So I created I have 3 columns here, and maybe they can also give me the date of the training. So let me pick date, create, done. Just like that, I created a table in my database. This is Dataverse. And this is very Excel-like. I can even add data. So I want Powerapps training. I need to learn about galleries. I spelled it wrong. It's fine. This is related to Powerapps. And guess what? I want this training on the 25th of Feb. I am done with this. I will click close. And just like that, I added a table, even added a record. And here is that hero layout in action. Remember, I said the first screen has some magic to it. If I preview this app right now, it's actually a fully functional app. On the left-hand side, we have a gallery that is showing me all the data in that table. Right now, I only have one record. On the right-hand side, I have the form control that shows me the information. And this is full CRUD, create, read, update, delete. Check this out. I want to create a flow. I need flow training on this date, and I'm going to relate this to flows. I'm going to click save. Done. It just created a record in my table in Dataverse. Full CRUD. I can edit. I can change the training date. I can save. I can even go ahead and delete the record if I want to. Now, bear in mind, this is Powerapps. Once again, I get a lot of questions on this. All right, so I can only use Dataverse, right? This is Dataverse for Teams. No. If you want, you can use this. If you don't want this, no problem. You can even go to add data and you see connectors. These are all those 450 plus connectors right here. So if you want to connect to SharePoint, no problem, go connect to it. You want to connect to SQL, do it. But bear in mind, when you're connecting to any of these connectors, if they are premium, your app becomes premium. If they are standard, your app is standard. The only thing is that these tables that you're creating in Dataverse, they are standard. You see, it's a standard connector. It's not giving you that diamond symbol of premium. That's the thing about Dataverse for Teams. And this is full Powerapps. If I go to plus, I get the full feature set. I can add labels, I can add forms, I can add icons, galleries, everything. Full experience. If I need new screens, I can go and add new screens. Apart from all of this, there's one more magic thing that I get. You see this Teams object right here? Now, what do I get with this? Let me show you. Let me add a label control. I'm going to place this label right here. Okay. Now, as part of this label, the text of this, I'm going to change this to Teams. Remember that Teams object dot. Now, look at the different properties that are available. Am I viewing this team in full screen mode? Is this running in a side panel? You know what is a side panel? In a Microsoft Teams, like right now we are in Teams, right? The side panel is what opens the meeting chat. What if I tell you, you can have a Power App right here? Right here in the Teams meeting context. What if I tell you, you can run a Power App? You can do that today. If you want to check that out, it's on my YouTube channel. So you can do these kind of things. And if you want to check if your team is running in that meeting experience, this will tell you whether it is running in that experience or not. You can even check the theme of your team. You can check to see which channel this is running on, which meeting context this is running in, which team this is running on. You have all of these contextual properties available right here. I'll keep it very simple and I will print the name of the team. Okay. Now, of course, I'm not seeing any data right now. That's because I'm editing the app. Let me push this app now to the team. How do I do that? One click, remember, one click. Top right-hand corner, publish, one click. Of course, there'll be more clicks, but experience is so seamless. What it's doing right now, it's saving the app. Once it does that, saving the app where? It's saving the app to Powerapps, of course, for that environment, which is your Dataverse for Teams environment. This tells me that my network is not good. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yep.
Anyone?
Yes, we can still hear you, Reza.
All right. Okay. So still saving. Okay. We will let it save. So once it saves, I will get the option then to publish this to a channel. All I have to do is pick a channel in my team and it will push it out at the channel. Of course, in the interest of time, here is the one that I did this morning. Same experience. If I go to training, this is that same app right here, guys. That app will be available as a tab in a channel in that Microsoft team only. And that app is a fully functional app. I can create new records, edit records, and remember the name of the team that I printed, it's right here. It's getting the name of the team through that contextual property. And back to our app, looks like finally it did publish. Once it did, it will list out all the channels for me. I only have one channel, general channel. If I click on plus and save and close, this particular app is now available as a channel. So as a tab in a channel. So if I go to my team, here is my Global Power Platform Bootcamp team that I created during the session. I head over to training. Here is that fully functional app right here. And guess what? Any other user who has access to this team. So here's Sarah. Sarah has access to the same team. Sarah can also go and access the same app right here. So this is what Microsoft Dataverse for Teams gives you. But how do I change security? Because if Sarah logs in, Sarah will also see all the data. For that, head back to Powerapps app in Microsoft Teams. So you can see here, Sarah has access to all the data. Back to the Powerapps app in Teams. This time, I don't want to create things. I want to go to build. Build will list out all the teams for which there is a Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environment created. In our case, our team is right here, so I'll go here. This will list out all the artifacts that are created as part of this team. I will go to see all, and this now shows me everything that's created. I can see the apps. I only have one app. Remember, share with colleagues. I can share this with colleagues, enter a security group right here and share it with them. That is people outside of my team. I can build chatbots right here. I can build flows right here. And this is the table that I created earlier. Now the security of this table can also be changed and can only be changed by the owner of the team. So right here, owners will see this option called manage permissions. And this is that permission structure that I showed you earlier. Right now, members have full access. Let's say I change it to private access. In that case, members can only see their own records. They cannot see other people's records. So if I do this and click save, I have changed the security right now for the members of my team. And I can do the same thing for guest users. I can do the same thing for even the colleagues. And once I'm done with all of this and click save, the entire experience changes. One more thing, when I was building the table on the fly in my app, when I went to the table and I said I wanted to create a column, I had a certain set of types of columns available. But if you go to the backend, like I just showed you, right here, if you look at the data types, this is the rich set of data types and the full data types that are available. Look at the data types: text area, email, URL, currency, time zone, dates, choices, decimal numbers, files, images, lookups, and you can create relationships literally through a point and click experience right here. Now I'll show you one use case. And for this use case, I'm going to try and risk something and see if this works. It's a risk. I will open up one of my apps, which is called EasyCast, which allows me to project my mobile device on my screen. This may work, this may not work. I'm giving it a shot. And I think it worked. So right now I'm on my mobile device and I'm going to head over to Teams. Okay, I'm in the Teams experience. This is my mobile app, right? And I will switch over to my tenant. So this is the tenant in which I was building my apps. Once this switches over to this tenant, I should see my teams. Now, as part of my play zone team, if I go to this team and head over to more right here, because the apps are available as tabs. And this is a real world example I'm giving you. In my organization, we were using expense reporting and uses a very old school clunky application. Okay. And typically I'm a consultant, so I go, I meet customers, I travel, we may have customer meetings, lunch, whatever. I have to submit my expenses. It's a very common use case, expense reporting for organizations. What's the problem? Old school systems, I get receipts, I lose receipts, I have to take pictures, I have to submit. It's not the best experience. Here's a full-fledged solution in Dataverse for Teams. Check this out. I'll go to expense reporting. This will list out all my expenses. For folks who followed me before on my channel or me presenting at other events, I actually built this first. I've shown this before. This I built using the full feature set of Dataverse. Now I have moved it to Dataverse for Teams. This is actually Dataverse for Teams, okay? I can see all my expenses right here. I can see the status of my expenses. I can change this, or I can create a brand new expense. Let me create a brand new expense. I'm going to say, you know what, Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21 lunch. Let's say I'm having a lunch meeting. And look at the branding, look at the theme. It's respecting the theme of the team. Okay, so I'm going to pick my start date and maybe end date as today. I'm going to pick a cost center so that I can build this expense. And I think I'll go and add some comments. This is a virtual lunch, and I'll click create. And just like that, it created an expense. Now, this is actually a record that got created in a table in Dataverse. Now, when you create expenses, you will add line items for your expense. An expense can have multiple line items. That means one expense can have many line items. One is to many relationship, right? Yes, we can have virtual drinks as well. So one is to many relationship. One expense is related to multiple line items. So I have a second table in my backend called line items. And literally through that GUI experience that I showed you earlier, I said this table is related to this table in a 1:n fashion. And right here now, I can create line items. Check this out. I am using the image type column in Dataverse, which allows me to store images. Now, because I'm on my mobile device, this will also allow me to open up what? To open up my camera. Okay. Somebody said cost centers coming from a different table. Yes, it's actually coming from a different table as well. And in that table, I'm defining who the approvers are dynamically. Okay. So I have the option here for camera and photo library. I will choose camera because I want to actually do this live, and this is live. I'm not lying. Check this. Here's my hand, and this is inception, right? Check this out. 1 2 3 4 5. Anyways, Okay, so this is live. Okay, this is live. Teams is running right here. And let's say I am with a customer. We had some lunch. This is a fake receipt I stole from the web. I will go ahead and take a picture live through my camera. We'll click done. Great, Reza, that was so cool. Yeah, no, there's more. Now, when I do this, I am actually calling that custom connector that I created using Azure API Management, which in turn calls Azure AI Cognitive Services, absolutely. And that goes ahead and gets all the data from this receipt. Check that out. It got the name of the merchant, the total cost, and the transaction date. And I can even define the category of this. And then I can click save. And just like that, it added a line item and associated it with my expense. This is the relational behavior of Dataverse for Teams. And of course, I can add multiple line items. I am not limited to one. Of course, I only have one receipt, sadly, so I'll keep taking the same thing again, just to prove that you can have multiple line items. I think the AI is going to fail now because for some reason the image went inverted. Let's see if the AI is smart enough to pick this. It's a good test. Okay, let me pick the remaining options. Let's see. Ooh, it still did. Check that out. Okay, I'll click save. I like when I learn on the fly. All right, now check this out. This has created multiple expenses. Look at my total. $97 was the total cost of my expense. I'm going to click submit. Now, when I did this, the status went to pending. It dynamically assigned the approver. If you see here, James is the approver. So James will get an approval task in Teams so that he can approve or reject and look at the expense details. And not just that, you can even build bots, remember? So check this out. Right at the bottom, I'll go to more and I will go to expenses. And here's a bot. Check this out. Hello. I'll say hello. Yes, this is cool. This is really cool. And my organization loves this. So it says, hi, Reza, I'm a virtual agent. I can help you. I need my expense details. Natural language. See, I spelled my incorrectly. It's okay. I need my expense details. Natural language. Bots. Smart bots. Okay, not so smart. Expense details. I oversold bots. Check that out. Expense details, but it's still understood. Okay. What expense status are you looking out for? Well, show me all my pending expenses. Okay, you want all your pending expenses. What's the dollar amount you're looking out for? Show me all my expenses greater than, and I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to try. Greater than $20. I even spelled dollars incorrectly. I'm having quite the day. You know what it did? It understood the intent. It understood that I'm looking for anything greater than $20 and the status is pending. And check the result. I'm sure we will have the Global Power Platform Bootcamp launch right here. So just by interacting with the bot in Teams itself, I can see the status of my app. Isn't that cool? A full-fledged solution. I'll call this a solution. This is not just an app. It has a database. It has tables, relationships, approvals, using flow. It has an app, of course, to interact with. At the same time, I even have a bot that I can interact with. It's a full-fledged expense reporting solution for my Microsoft team. Show you one more in the mobile experience. This is something that I plan to release very soon as part of my YouTube channel and for my organization as well. A training app, like a certification app or like a quiz app, inspired from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And this is a truly responsive app. I will show you in the web browser shortly. So right here, I can start my quiz and I can say, okay, I want to start the quiz. All right, first question. Any guesses, guys? What's the logo for? Anyone? You can post it in the chat. Come on, it's an easy one. What logo is this for? No one? All right, automate. Thank you. Yes, Power Automate. Lock the answer. That's right. Yeah, I gained 500 points. It even has audio, video, some really cool features. I'm purposely going to give the wrong answer. And once I give the wrong answer, the quiz ends, I get a score. My score is 500. Now I can even save the score and post it to Microsoft Teams. And if I go to the leaderboard, this is coming from my table in Dataverse. I have my leaderboard here. And if I go to Teams, in my Teams, I have a nice looking adaptive card that tells me, hey, Reza scored 500 points in this quiz. Go take the challenge again and again and again and try beat Reza. It's fun, right? I'm even thinking of adding certificates in there. So when they complete it, they get a full certificate. Anyways, these are some of the examples of what you could potentially do with Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. Now, if I head back to the browser experience, let me show you that same experience right here. If I go to expense report, that expense reporting app is available right here, but wait, it's not responsive. You see the real estate here? Remember, they are not responsive by design. I did not build this as a responsive app. Of course, if I go to pending, I see my expense right here. It's pending. All my details are right here. And the same experience is available for me. But this is not a responsive app. However, for the quiz app, I actually made it responsive. Check this out. As my real estate reduces, see how the behavior changes. Let me start the first question. And if there is more real estate available, see how they align. You see that? You see? Completely responsive app. So you can even go all out and build solutions like these. I want to show you this thing. I know this, I'm not going to cover this, but I want to show you this. I'm going to share a link later on wherein wherein there are videos in which will walk you through how you can build a help desk app wherein users can create tickets. It'll go for approvals, and you can even build a bot to check the status of your ticket. So I'll share a link, step-by-step guidance on how to build a solution like this. And before I head back to the presentation, one last thing. I promised you I'll show you the new templates. Here is one of the latest templates, and it took me 20 seconds to deploy this. Milestones, great for tracking project milestones. You can create new projects on the fly. You can add your milestones on the fly. Here is a sample project. It has 3 milestones. You can create multiple work items. This is all relational. Project is related to milestones. Milestones are related to work items. This is all magic that's possible thanks to Dataverse for Teams. And this is a full-fledged milestone tracking solution that is provided as part of a template. And if you would like to add this as an example, all you have to do is just go to the Powerapps app. And once this app loads in your browser, right at the bottom, you have those 5 templates. Pick them, add it to your team, you're good to go. So these were certain examples of Microsoft Dataverse for Teams. Here are the templates that you can build and create. Okay, back to my presentation because I want to respect the time. All right, so those were the demos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Learning materials, I spoke about those videos that I was talking about. That's a full series that I did. There are 5 videos in it today. That's the link. I will paste the link in the chat very soon. So do check that out. And of course, nothing better than docs.microsoft.com, purely because it is always updated and shows you the latest and greatest information. If you like the expense reporting solution that I demoed earlier, you can actually go and look at the full video walkthrough. There's a lot more to it than what I just showed. But if you would like to see that, that's the link to look at the expense reporting solution, and that's the link to download it. Reza, you said you can't export and import. Yes, you can't export and import. And this solution that I'm providing here uses the full Dataverse option and uses AI Builder. So this is different from the one I demoed today. Once Dataverse for Teams allows exporting, importing, I will make that also available in the community, including my quiz app. And I think I'm bang on time. Last 10 minutes, I will open the floor up for questions. And these are the details to connect with me. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And thank you for listening.
Awesome.
All right.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Let's go through all the questions from the beginning. All right, so first question, Iman, Reza, and I like my name, here's a new name, Reza. All right, do we still have restrictions in which we can have 5 environment for 20 users, then 1 environment for extra user? There is no such restriction. There are 500 Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environments. These are different environments. These are not those standard Power Platform based environments. As long as you can create a team, the environment gets created for you. Of course, your Teams admin can block you from doing so. Christine question, thanks, great day. As a newbie to this, there are lots of areas to think about. Of course, great point. Now you have more options, right? Do I build it in Dataverse for Teams? Do I build it in Powerapps? Do I build this in SharePoint and customize this? You have more options to choose from, and you need to be mindful of the capacity as well in this case. What else? Okay, there's something in.
That's
Sorry?
the next one. If you skip down to Iman, that's the next one.
All right, so custom connectors is now launched. Yes, custom connectors is now launched and available for you to use. For that, you have to go to Azure API management and build your custom connector. Okay, can you edit an app in Microsoft Teams environment from the Powerapps website? Great question. Hacky way, yes. Recommended, no. For now, if you want to modify your app, go back to Powerapps, go to the build tab. Okay, go to your team, go to see all, go to the app. This is the app that we built, and just go and edit it. What's the hacky way of getting there? I'll show you. Go to Flow. Why? Don't ask me, but go to Flow. When you will go to Flow, you will see all the environments. You will even see the Teams environment. So here is my Teams environment for Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21. In here, go to Solutions. Okay, go to Solutions. Right here, go to CDS default solution. Anything that you create comes here. Here's my app. Now, if I edit this app, guess what? This will open up the full Powerapps experience. Hacky way, don't do it. Okay. I think you can go in via solution. There you go. Exactly. They even give the right answer. Can you import data from another table to the Dataverse table created within Teams? Currently, there is no direct option to import data into a table. You can use Power Automate to import data. Very soon, we will have better options to import and export data in those tables or from those tables. You may have another table. Okay, and you had another table for cost centers. Yes. The AI part that I showcased today does not use AI Builder. Reason is because as part of Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, there is no AI Builder. I am using Azure Cognitive Services directly, and that is actually what AI Builder uses as well at the backend. Okay, brilliant session. Thank you. Reza talks to Reza. Yeah. I actually do that because I feel when I do that many a times, I ask common questions that people ask me. So that way, most of the questions are already answered during the session. So yeah, Reza does talk to Reza. Okay, I'm talking about this 5+1 per 20 eligible office seats up to maximum finance limit. This what you're saying right here. This limit on the number of environments can't be extended up to maximum.
Awesome
All right.
session, sir. Well
Thank
done.
you. Let's go through all the questions from the beginning. All right, so first question, Iman, Reza, and I like my name. Here's a new name, Reza. All right, do we still have restrictions in which we can have 5 environment per 20 users, then 1 environment per extra user? There is no such restriction. There are 500 Microsoft Dataverse for Teams environments. These are different environments. These are not those standard Power Platform based environments. As long as you can create a team, the environment gets created for you. Of course, your Teams admin can block you from doing so. Christine is okay. Christine question, thanks, great day. As a newbie to this, there are lots of areas to think about. Of course, great point. Now you have more options, right? Do I build it in Dataverse for Teams? Do I build it in Powerapps? Do I build this in SharePoint and customize this? You have more options to choose from, and you need to be mindful of the capacity as well in this case. All right, so custom connectors is now launched. Yes, custom connectors is now launched and available for you to use. For that, you have to go to Azure API management and build your custom connector. Okay, can you edit an app in Microsoft Teams environment from the Powerapps website? Great question. Hacky way, yes. Recommended, no. For now, if you want to modify your app, go back to Powerapps, go to the build tab, okay, go to your team, go to see all, go to the app. This is the app that we built, and just go and edit it. What's the hacky way of getting there? I'll show you. Go to flow. Why? Don't ask me, but go to flow. When you will go to flow, you will see all the environments. You will even see the Teams environments. So here is my Teams environment for Global Power Platform Bootcamp 21. In here, go to solutions. Okay, go to solutions. Right here, go to CDS default solution. Anything that you create comes here. Here's my app. Now, if I edit this app, guess what? This will open up the full Powerapps experience. Hacky way, don't do it. Okay. I think you can go in via solution. There you go. Exactly. Damien gave the right answer. Can you import data from another table to the Dataverse table created within Teams? Currently, there is no direct option to import data into a table. You can use Power Automate to import data. Very soon, we will have better options to import and export data in those tables or from those tables. You may have another table. Okay, and you had another table for cost centers. Yes. The AI part that I showcased today does not use AI Builder. Reason is because as part of Microsoft Dataverse for Teams, there is no AI Builder. I am using Azure Cognitive Services directly, and that is actually what AI Builder uses as well at the backend. Okay, brilliant session. Thank you. Reza talks to Reza. Yeah. I actually do that because I feel when I do that many a times, I ask common questions that people ask me. So that way, most of the questions are already answered during the session. So yeah, Reza does talk to Reza. Okay, I'm talking about this 5+1 per 20 eligible office seats up to a maximum finance limit. This what you're saying right here. This limit on the number of environments can't be extended up to a maximum finance limit. 20 eligible office seats. I have not seen this before, Iman, so I'll be interested in reading more about this. You've given a link to docs.microsoft.com as well, so this will be an interesting read. You may be right. Maybe there are some other limits based on specific office licenses in there. Someone says, unknown user says, many options, sometimes tough to find the right one. Okay, not a part of the session, but I would love to talk about this. How do you pick the right database? If you ask me, this is my viewpoint. In the Power Platform, what are my databases of choice, right? Do not do not go beyond these three databases. And what are the three databases? I'll show you what they are. So search for something called Powerapps Delegation. If you've never heard, read about delegation, I have a full series on this on my channel. Go check it out. Delegation basically means interacting with databases that have the capabilities to have large data sets. And how large? Literally 2,000 records. Trust me, you're not going to build anything that won't go beyond 2,000. It'll be a very rare occurrence. The only three data sources that support delegation are these. And this is Dataverse, by the way. So the documentation will be updated. SharePoint, SQL, and CDS. The only standard connector is SharePoint. CDS or Dataverse is standard only in Teams, but there is a limit of 2 GB. So you need to be aware of that. Is my data going to grow, right? Am I going to go beyond 2 GB? If yes, just go to full Dataverse. If not, stay in Dataverse for Teams. Hey, I know that it's going to grow beyond and I can't afford the licensing cost. Okay, go to SharePoint. Well, I need a relational database system. Reza, SharePoint is not relational. Well, then you need to pay a price. Or Reza, I can even go to SQL. Yes, you can, but SQL is also premium. If you ask me, if you have a choice, if you're starting from scratch and you have to choose between SQL and CDS, both are premium. I will straight away go to CDS. Having said that, I have a customer who has heavily invested in SQL. Why would they change their data source? All their systems of record are pointing to that. So we are pointing to SQL. Makes sense in that case. So it depends. The answer to all of this is it depends. There is no one definite answer as to should I choose SharePoint or SQL. It depends on your use case. It depends on your data structure. It depends on your information architecture. And many a times, whether you like it or not, it also depends on licensing. It depends on how much are you willing to pay out. And of course, don't forget delegation. Any other questions? Great session. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? You can go off mute as well. So let me fulfill my promise. Let me grab the links. And I made this mistake earlier. I won't. If I just paste this, it comes with all the horrible formatting. So I will go ahead, paste it here, copy it from Notepad. Here are all the links. So you can go and grab them, learn more, and explore Dataverse for Teams and build cool solutions and share it in the community like me.
Okay, I'm going to pinch your screen just for a second, just to finish off.
Okay.
Just to finally say, please do go and fill in the survey and let the Global Power Platform Bootcamp team know exactly how great it was that Reza was here, and give him some great feedback on there, and also let them know what you thought of the UK experience. But do go and fill out the survey and win some swag. And thank you so much, Reza, for that. That was an awesome session.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon, for giving me this opportunity. And can I add something on the feedback? I give a lot of feedback as well. I'll tell you what, give feedback. And in the feedback, don't say good session, bad session. Never say that. If it's good, give the reason why it was good. Trust me, it helps the speakers, it helps the organizers. If it was bad, say why it was bad. It's okay to say it was bad, right? Reza was speaking to Reza, man. He was not speaking to me. Put that in. That's constructive feedback, but don't say bad session. Well, why was it a bad session? I know you won't do that, right? You'll say good session.
Excellent session is what we're looking for. Okay, just so that you know, all the sessions will be published on YouTube. If you just search for Sharon Sumner, it'll be on my channel, and we will post them all up there individually.